that the UPS strike may be averted. The negotiated deal goes to the Teamster members for a vote, right? And assuming they endorse the deal, we've kept about 340,000 workers off of those picket lines. Well, next up is the UAW. Yesterday, the CEO of GM reported results, and it's fair to say that things were very good, which could be a fly in the ointment, right? Think about it. How hard is it going to be to sit across the table from the UAW and claim you can't find the money to pay your workers? And listen to this quote. This is Sean Fain, the UAW president, says he struck a confrontational note when he said this, right? If the big three don't give us our fair share, then they're choosing to strike themselves, and we're not afraid to take action. Ooh, yikes. Well, that smells like something might be happening there. Back in 2019, you'll remember, GM lost a staggering $3.6 billion from a 40-day UAW strike. That's $1.3 billion more than GM just reported in net income. According to Evercore, the chances of a strike, they're going to be 50-50 right now. My next guest just bought 2 new cars, by the way. Please welcome into the show, Bob Iaccino. Bob, thanks for taking this one on. Really appreciate you being on. Okay. What are your thoughts here? I mean, is this going to make things all better, or is it going to make things all worse?
It's going to make things all worse because, first of all, I think there's almost an unavoidable strike, even if it's for a very short period of time. Sometimes you wonder why the American automakers are so willing to just immediately abandon internal combustion engines and abandon even hybrids to just go straight electric. And a lot of it has to do with the much lower levels of labor needed to create the electric cars. And a lot of these new electric factories are not yet unionized, maybe never. So when you look at it from that perspective, there's pluses and minuses, in my view, in the union. In my early days on the floor of the CME group, you remember, Scott, they didn't pay you much money when you first started, kind of like basic training to see if you wanted to stick around or not.
Right.
So I actually took a weekend job through a friend at McCormick Place, working as a non-union person on a forklift. They had 3 people to a forklift to load and unload trade shows. I don't know if you know this, but a forklift is designed to use less people, and there's only 1 seat. So the 2 of us would sit on the back. I had a gentleman come in with a briefcase, and the head of my forklift, who was a former Chicago Bear, actually told the guy to put the briefcase on a pallet, and the 3 of us lifted up the pallet with the forklift and drove it to the guy's booth. It would not let him walk through with his briefcase. This is the kind of productivity that has become of unions, and which is why that thing that you just mentioned, where the CEO is going to have to go across and say, we don't have the money, as opposed to saying what he probably wants to say is, a lot of you don't deserve the money. But this is the system that has been built up when the unions have been given the power of the Democratic Party and the power of the left via the vote to say things that aren't necessarily true. This has become endemic, a pandemic in our democracy, and it's sickening to me.
Okay, so is there a little bit of an issue here with Biden, who's Mr. Pro-Union, pushing electric vehicles that don't use union labor to make them? Have they thought that one through?
I'm shocked that that's not a big talking point of this particular negotiation, because it is the death of the unions if the auto industry were to go 100% electric. Even if they were able to go in a certain amount of plants and do it, it wouldn't be the battery plants, and it likely wouldn't be the assembly plants. It would be more something along the lines of side parts that are being built, tires, steering wheels, and the like. They would have a much smaller footprint than they've ever had in the U.S. manufacturing scene. So this is a big thing. Now, on the one hand, you see that part of it. On the other side of it, you see wages of the average individual. When you look at real wages, the Biden administration is really fond of talking about how real wages are going up. That's wages in excess of inflation. But from March 2021 to February 2023, inflation outstripped real wages by 2% or more that entire time. That's like being down 41-0 in the fourth quarter, and you score 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and you cheer and scream that you outscored the opponent in the fourth quarter. For the previous 3 quarters, there's a deficit that you can't get past in order to win the game. That's what normal consumers are going through. And from that perspective, you can almost see the union's point, especially when they know that the people who pay them are going in a direction that eliminates them.
Well, and the people that pay them are the folks that don't care about the recession and or inflation. And the 2/3 that do are the people that are on the line. I mean, my wife worked on the line for Ford, so she knows exactly what these folks are going through. And by the way, was a member of the UAW while she did it. So it's really interesting to me too, because now that UPS got what they wanted, and there's going to have to be some sort of settlement here with the UAW. This money's not going to come out of thin air. It's just going to make things more expensive for you and I, right?
Yeah, and it's a supply chain thing as well. If they were to go on strike, all of a sudden the supply chain's constricted right at a time when crude oil prices and gasoline prices are starting to spike again. You're seeing crude oil nearing $80 a barrel, which we haven't seen since late March of this year. So it's all falling into place for what Jim Bianco called the bottoming process of inflation to possibly ramp up again. A strike would only add to that.
3% CPI, a low tick?
It may be, yeah, it may be. You might start seeing us climb back up to 4.5%. Well, that's the place we'll sit, in my opinion, while the Fed watches. It's 2 months till the next Fed meeting.
Yeah,
that's the interesting part about this statement and this press conference we're about to get.
Right, and it's going to be a problem because there's something happening in November of 2024 as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that one gets banded about. All right. Really appreciate you coming on the phone. It was great stuff on the show, Bob. Thank you very much, Bob Iaccino. Coming to us from Naples, Florida. Let's talk about the go-tos. And by now you know that I've got them. It's gold oil, the 10-year yield.